There's this discussion where when you're a fan of a team, you tend to have these worries, right? Well, how's the defense going to look? That was the argument for a very long time with this Cardinals team. Defensively, man, they're just not good enough. Pass rush, it was like standing in the pocket all day, letting teams pick you apart. We saw that in the Vikings game, late in that game. We saw Geno Smith, of all people, continue to pick you apart. And over time, you just continue to worry about this Cardinals defense. But after a really strong free agency, a really strong NFL draft, the pendulum has now swung the other direction. Now it's the offense. What are the Cardinals going to do offensively? I'm not there. If I'm really honest with you, there's one thing that I'm worried about that people have kind of shoved to the side when it comes to talking about the Arizona Cardinals, because you just kind of forget how bad this player was post week 11, post bye week. I worry about Kyler Murray holding up in terms of, from a skill standpoint, for 17 games. I want Kyler Murray to succeed. My life is better if he succeeds. But what I'm going to be fair about is, if Kyler isn't great, then we're in for a boatload of trouble with this Cardinals team. It's not about if he can succeed. It's can he do it for a 17-game sample size? So let's talk about this. There's this notion, because I brought it up last week, because I'm simply trying to find the holes to plug in for this Cardinals team, because every team has holes. Maybe not the Eagles, but the Cardinals have a couple. Even if we think everyone on this team is going to play very well, from linebackers to NFL draft guys, all the way over to wide receivers. Cody Simon, yeah, I think he'll be good. Rookie, so probably going to get picked on a little bit. The Cardinals probably need another linebacker. I wish they would have brought Xavier Weaver back, but that sounds like it's not going to be the case. It sounds like it's Mr. Outside hire. And same offensively. I think their offense is fine, but I think they need another weapon, just to help supplement the wide receiving core. It's not something that is absolutely necessary. If they don't do anything about it, it's fine. They're totally fine. But let's say this. There's this discussion now, and I've seen it on social media. The Cardinals aren't doing enough to help Kyler Murray succeed. That's the new idea, that the Cardinals aren't doing enough to help Kyler Murray succeed. And here's my response to that. You cannot say that you think Kyler Murray is a top 8, top 10, hell, top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and then say he needs more around him to succeed. This team is not the Philadelphia Eagles or the Kansas City Chiefs of years ago or the San Francisco 49ers of just a couple years ago, where there's just weapons everywhere offensively. But to act like this team is starved for weapons or even close to it is, again, talking out of both sides of your mouth. You either think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be great or you don't. You either know Trey McBride is going to continue his stellar breakout from last year and continue being a top 3 tight end, or you don't. You either like James Conner, you think he's underrated, or you don't. Look at these offensive weapons. The worry should not be the weapons. You have a top 3 tight end in Trey McBride. Year 2 Marvin Harrison Jr., who we all think is going to be better. Michael Wilson is very good for the third option on your team, at least passing the football. James Conner is a workhorse, bell cow back who seems to get better with age. You spent a 3rd-round pick last year on what was seen as the best running back in the draft at the time, and you don't think that's enough for Kyler? We can have the Drew Petzing discussion. Totally fair. But this idea that the Cardinals aren't doing enough to help Kyler Murray is crazy. The offensive line last year, there was a stretch for 3 or 4 games. They didn't allow a sack. Kyler Murray is more than fine evading guys and helping the offensive line and stay clean in the pocket. And on their own, they're fine. Kyler Murray has enough weapons to succeed. It's up to Kyler Murray to make it happen. Stop building in these baked-in excuses if he doesn't succeed. You either believe Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, and Michael Wilson are a very good collection of talent, one of the top 12 collection of talents offensively, or you don't. You don't get to have it both ways. You either think Kyler Murray is an elite level player, or you don't. You think he's very good, or you don't. Because if you continue to say he needs more weapons, he needs more players on the offensive line, he needs more of this, he needs more of that, then it becomes a Kyler Murray problem. You become Jalen Hurts. You become Brock Purdy, where those players are fine, but they need a lot around you to succeed. And that's okay. You can talk about that. But you have to be willing then that Kyler Murray is not that guy in the elite categories, in the very good categories. Kyler Murray, as of right now, is a good quarterback. And with the weapons around him, needs to succeed with what he has. He's got more than enough around him. And Kyler Murray needs to figure it out. If there's a way that this team is going to succeed and make it to the playoffs, it's going to be on Kyler. Stop baking in excuses. This team is perfectly fine when it comes to weapons on the offensive line. When it comes to weapons offensively. If Kyler's going to make it happen, Kyler's going to make it happen. An extra supplemental wide receiver from off the scrap heap, Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper, whoever it is, Elijah Moore up until last week, they were not changing the Cardinals' season. Even though I advocated, go get Keenan Allen. I feel like it would help the Cardinals a little bit. No part of my argument was, well, Kyler Murray, he just needs more weapons. Not the case. Never been the case, won't be the case, and isn't going to be the case later on in the season next year. If this team is going to work out, it's going to be on Kyler, and Kyler Murray has to be better. That is the only excuse, or that is the only way for Kyler Murray to win everyone back. This season is on Kyler. It's not on his weapons. It's not on the defense. This team goes as far as he goes. And I hope he does take this team to the playoffs and hopefully win at least one playoff game and look good in it. But come on, guys. We're just complaining at this point. We're just complaining about what the Cardinals do or don't have. You know, Ivan, that's a really good point. Because this was someone I was high on. And you go back and check the YouTube archives. I said last year, guys, I'm watching Xavier Weaver at training camp. I'm there 3-4 days a week. Sheesh. Some guys are just built for football. Some guys just have the twitchiness, the athleticism to be great at football. And that's the one thing we're not all baking in except for Ivan in the chat. And, of course, me up until 5 minutes ago. Xavier Weaver could be a very good weapon for this team. I watched him in training camp. Maybe the Cardinals feel like they don't need another weapon. I watched him up close and personal. The dude needs more reps. I watched him at Colorado. He's a good, twitchy, athletic player. I do think he can be better than Greg Dortch. I do think he has the talent to be better than Greg Dortch. If he's your third wide receiver and he's able to do a little bit more than what Greg Dortch did 2 years ago for Kyler Murray, there's your other weapon. Sure hands, twitchy player, kind of deceptively fast. Or I guess I should say, kind of deceptively fast. Those are the types of guy that Kyler Murray has. When it comes to his 5th, 4th, 6th guy, they've got talent. Unlocking Xavier Weaver should be a part of the Cardinals' missions this year. I watched this kid at Colorado, twitchy player, good with the ball in his hands, and really good in space. There are some dudes that even though they don't fit the physical requirements to play football, just are good enough to do so. And when you're talking about Greg Dortch being your 4th receiver, Xavier Weaver can absolutely be your 3rd. I believe he's better than Greg Dortch when it comes to depth on that wide receiving class or in that wide receiving room. I like what Xavier Weaver can bring to this team. Twitchy player, watched him up close last year. And if there's one guy who you're like under the radar, who you want the Cardinals to break out this year or at least turn into a very good receiver, or at least a good receiver, someone that can help with this wide receiving room and actually be capable, and I'm talking 650 receiving yards, a couple of touchdowns, Xavier Weaver is that guy. Him with Shedeur Sanders a couple of years ago, he was one of his favorite targets. And that was a guy when the Cardinals picked him up in that draft weekend when they picked him up in that draft weekend a year ago, I was excited about him. So again, good pool by my guy Ivan in the chat. Xavier Weaver's another guy who can help out this Cardinals team.